Gustafson Barlette with Times Union and TimesUnion.com. And welcome to 20 Things Plus, where we catch up with somebody previously featured on the Times Union's 20 Things You Don't Know About Me. Today we are joined by Chris Onorato. Chris is an anchor, a sports anchor and reporter with WNYT News Channel 13. And I also have to mention he's a fellow Ithaca College graduate. So I'm doubly excited to have you for that reason. Hi, Chris.
Absolutely, Kristi. I always find a reason to talk to as many Ithaca College people as I can, either at Channel 13 or I know with the new show I've started. If that person went to Ithaca, good shot, we're going to book them as a guest.
I got it. And I wanted to wear my Ithaca shirt today, but I couldn't find it. So I just went with the blue sweater because I thought I'm still representing with the color.
And I have an Ithaca's gorgeous mug. But as you know from my 20 Things You Didn't Know About Me, I don't drink hot beverages. So it really just kind of sits up in the cupboard.
Yeah, so we got to fill it with water. Okay. All right, so I'm going to have you update us on a couple of your original things, share a few new, and we'll play a little game. And your first one that you'll talk about, I love because it sounds like you can say to President Obama, "I knew you when." So what happened with that?
Yeah, and he'll say, who are you? Right. Yeah, it's crazy. And I'll tell you, I'll be honest, I was ignorant to who Senator Barack Obama was in 2004 when he was a junior senator in Illinois, and he was the keynote speaker at John Kerry's Democratic National Convention. I was a lowly intern for NBC News, and I had no idea that in those 2 weeks I would come across the future president of the United States and the first Black president of the United States. But I can tell you, in Boston, I was there for a week before the convention started, and there for 2 weeks during and after. And the buzz was all about Barack Obama. And to me, it was like, who is this? Should I know who this person is? He was, of course, phenomenal. But the kind of behind the scenes story I have is that I got to see Barack Obama practice his keynote address for that Democratic National Convention. It was in some side room in Boston. We were at the Garden, and it wasn't the TD Garden yet, I don't believe. And it was me, an NBC staffer of real responsibility, and then like just 3 people in his party. And it was in a little side conference room kind of thing. It was really, really cool now that I can look back on that and say I was there to see it. At the time, of course, I didn't appreciate it, as so many other things in life. When you get great opportunities, you don't really fully appreciate them during the moment. But that entire experience of being at a convention and seeing kind of the inner workings of it, I had a great, opportunity to meet some people. And, like I had to escort the Black Eyed Peas to the stage for their musical performance. Omarosa, do you remember her from?
Yes, that's from The Apprentice.
The Apprentice, yeah. She was a big deal then. I had to go book her for a spot on MSNBC. I drove Chris Jansing around on a golf cart for part of the week. So there were some cool things I got to do that during the moment, you're young and dumb and probably didn't appreciate it fully.
I love that Chris Jansing, formerly Chris Capistaci, obviously with WNYT, falls into the same category as the Black Eyed Peas and Fergie and Omarosa. That's big doings. You had some good.
Yeah, John Mellencamp was there. It was cool. Yeah.
Well, we're going to continue with the name dropping because when you drove cross country, you did the LA program while at Ithaca for a semester. And while driving cross country, you didn't meet just one notable, but 2, and you even hung out with them. Tell us about that.
So, boy, where do I start?
You got to go right to Betty, right?
Okay. So I had dinner one night with Betty White, and this wasn't like some chance encounter and I got lucky. I mean, I'm fortunate that my parents came out to visit while I was doing my semester there from New Jersey. And my uncle lives in LA and has lived in LA my entire life. We always jokingly say when the Dodgers moved from Brooklyn, he went from the East Coast to the West Coast, which is pretty close to accurate. So he's been out there forever and he works in the entertainment business and he has known Betty White for a very, very long time. And so when my parents were coming out to visit, my Uncle Al said, let me see if Betty's available for dinner. We'll go to the Hotel Roosevelt and it was like a music dinner party kind of thing, which we got to do. Now, Betty then I think was 81 and she just turned, was it 99?
I think, yeah, she's in her late 90s. She just had her birthday a couple of weeks ago.
I'll tell you what, at 81, she couldn't have been any sharper than she was. We had a great time. She couldn't have been more gracious, and obviously it was just the five of us, right? But still, she was so locked into each part of the conversation. That was an absolute thrill. The picture I have from that is something that I keep in a frame still, and it's kind of, is that weird? Probably. Like, you come into one of the rooms in the houses and you're like, okay, your parents, you and Betty White.
We have a question though about dining with Betty White. So she's a woman, so in theory she might be able to order first out of kind of like the whole rules of respect. But did you base what you ordered on what Betty White was eating, or was it just like, look, I want the steak even though Betty's getting the salmon?
That's a good question. I have no clue. Well, Kristi, remember from my 20 things you don't know about me, I'm not a foodie. So I have no idea what she ordered, what I ordered. Michael Feinstein was singing that night at the Hotel Roosevelt. I remember that. More than that, though, no, probably too much time spent at the Saddle Ranch during my semester there.
All right, and now tell us about Mr. Belding.
So this is crazy. There were a few spots we would go during the week where you could like be out in LA and not deal with the crowds, right? So, and we were holed up in Burbank. That's where our apartments were. So there was this place called, it's no longer there anymore. It's called Dimples. And it was right down the road from the Oakwood Apartments, which is where we stayed. Which, by the way, we went to a party at the Oakwood Apartments where Method Man and Redman were. That's a different thing, but this is what's weird about California. But we'd go to Dimples. It's a karaoke bar, total cheese show. And Dennis Haskins, Mr. Belding, would be there almost every single time we were there. And so I said to my uncle one night, like halfway through the semester, I said, oh, by the way, Uncle Al, you'll never believe this. This is so funny. Like, we go to this karaoke bar called Dimples in Burbank. It's a total hole in the wall, but Dennis Haskins is always there. The guy who played Mr. Belding. And my uncle says to me, that's so funny. I haven't seen him in so long. If you ever get a chance to approach him, tell him who you are. I gave him his first job in television.
Oh, no way.
So I was like, well, now here's my shot to sing karaoke with Mr. Belding. So I went up to him one night and I said, Dennis, you don't know me. My name is Chris Onorato. And he stopped me. And he said, what's the last name? I said, Onorato. Do you know Al Onorato? I said, yeah, I know Al Onorato. He's my uncle. He is the great blah, blah, blah. Went on this tangent about my uncle. And before you know it, me and my buddies are up on the stage singing karaoke with Dennis Haskins. That's as bizarre as it gets, I know.
Please tell me you remember the song. You don't remember the food with Betty, but you need to remember what you sang with Mr. Belding. Here's
what I do remember.
I want it to be Sweet Caroline.
Yeah, well, his go-to was the Divinals.
I don't even know.
And what that is. I Touch Myself was his go-to karaoke song.
Okay, you're at Dimples and you're singing I Touch Myself. I think that's all we need to know.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. All right, so the next one is you're engaged. As we know, I wrote about this when you got engaged to Ashley. Yep. And you've been planning a wedding, and weren't you already supposed to be married? Weren't you supposed to get married during the pandemic?
Yeah, so we got engaged in June of 2019. We had then set the wedding date for June of 2020, and obviously everything happens, and you look back on it, and we were having conversations in like April of last year, Kristi, where it was like, well, if we push it to the fall, that'll clear it, and we both were just kind of like, we don't know what it's going to look like. Let's just push it to May of 2021. We know we're good. We'll be safe. Everything will be back to normal. We can have the wedding reception we want with 200 people and everything. And now it's March and we're like, do we push it to the fall? It's literally the same conversation and we talked, 2 days ago about it. And it's kind of the same thing, was like, even if we push it to the fall, what does it really look like? Are people traveling? And of course, life happens. So there are 2 bridesmaids of Ashley's who aren't going to come. 1 is pregnant. The other has just recently had a newborn. not safe, doesn't feel comfortable traveling. Of course, totally get that. And then you're going to have people who are like, well, I can't come to Saratoga Springs, New York and hang out in a hotel for 4 days and hope I test negative and then go to the reception and then I've got to quarantine when I get back to my particular state. And it's going to be a nightmare for anybody who attempts to travel. If we get anybody who's going to do that. So yeah, people have said, are you still getting married? Yes. Where is it? I don't know. How many? I don't know. We don't know. We know we're getting married at St. Pius in Loudonville, and where the reception will be and who will be there, and will there be a band or a DJ, or will we be wearing masks the entire? Yes. Other than that, like, we don't know, and it's 2 months away.
Is Uncle Al coming, and is he bringing Mr. Belding?
So no, Dennis Haskins is not on the invite list. We would it would be how great would it be if you get Betty White at your wedding? That would be awesome. I mean, that won't happen either. Uncle Al is fully vaccinated. Thankfully, it's great. He's 85. So if he's comfortable flying, he's safe to do so. And I think we'll get him there.
Very cool. All right. I love that. Now, the next one is, this is actually why I reached out to you to invite you to do 20 Things Plus. You have this digital show, and this is not a small little thing. You've been getting big guests, big interviews, and big numbers of viewers. So what's going on with that show?
Well, it is small. I appreciate you saying that, but this is where we do the show. So as you know, work from home is full on work from home now. Like, everybody is in it. I used to laugh, like, when you watch, if you watch HGTV at all, there's this show called Love It or List It. And they have a list of like their needs and wants or whatever. And it's always like, dedicated office space. I'm like, give me a break. Set up the laptop, do what you need to do, get some email done, and you're on the couch half the time on your phone anyway. Now, no one's ever going to buy a house again without a dedicated office space. And actually, you and I are probably like, we need a dedicated studio of some sort. Can you get us a studio? We're going to hang some lights and some soundproofing. Like, that would be perfect.
But here's the thing, you've got to tell me about this show, because also, if you had a dedicated space, you would not have been able to play the kitchen game with who has the better kitchen game with Kenan. So tell us about that interview. How did you get that interview, and what's the show about?
So the show's called Onorato and Bagnardi, and truthfully, it only happened because of the pandemic. I was let go at the radio station. I was at 104.5, the Team ESPN radio. And when that happened almost a full year ago now, it was March 13th, I said to my buddy Sean, who we had done the podcast audio version of, called An Hour You'll Never Get Back, and I'm going down a rabbit hole here, but you were on that, Kristi, years ago now. I said to Sean, I said, I've got this itch for sports talk now after doing it for about 4 years on a regular basis. I've got to scratch it. What do you think about doing the podcast, but 95% sports, will do some other stuff mixed in? He said, I love it. I said, okay, here's the catch. Let's do it video only. It's all visual. Now, our first show, if you want to call it that, was April 16th. So everybody was already kind of jumping into the Zoom world. We did our first show on WebEx, which went okay. But then I stumbled upon this different visual platform. And I said to Bags, I said, this is us, man. This is going to really help us. It allows us some graphic elements and stuff. So it's called Onorato and Bagnardi. We're 95% sports, but we also have other interests, as everybody else does, in entertainment, life, whatever. So I had been bugging a bunch of entertainment people for a while, comedians, actors, musicians, who's willing to come on this show? Anybody? And Kenan Thompson's people said, yeah. As a matter of fact, he's got this new show coming out in a few months. Can you wait until January? And I think it ended up still being February, but can you wait until, yeah, no problem. Whenever he's available, we'll do it. So then some NBC people reached out to me and said, hey, your names were passed along to me from Kenan Thompson's people. Here's the time he can do. He'll have 7 minutes. Okay. Let's do it. It was like 12:55 on a Wednesday or whatever. He was just about to walk back onto to his new show to shoot. He and Chris Redd sit down. Sean and I, Sean's backdrop is his kitchen. Mine is not, but I'm looking at my kitchen. And Chris Redd says, all right, we're going to play Who's Got the Better Kitchen. And it just kind of took off from there. And Kristi, that's the beauty of funny people, is like, you don't have to do any work. And I jokingly said on Twitter, I'm like, I'm like Jimmy Fallon, who becomes rendered useless when somebody's funny because I'll just laugh. I can't conduct an interview anymore. I'm just going to laugh. So Kenan was our first non-sports celebrity, if you will. But like we've had NFL Hall of Famers on. We've had some great people in broadcasting, from Mike Golick to Boog Shambi from ESPN. Terrell Davis was the NFL Hall of Famer on. We had on basketball head coach George Karl, who has Capital Region ties to the Patroons. So it has gone exceedingly well, I think, compared to where we set the expectations, where I was just thinking, let me do some of this stuff because I need to stay sharp, because I enjoy doing it. And if it's something I want to do down the road, I need to kind of still stay in that mode. And honestly, it's something we don't plan on giving up anytime soon.
Very cool. Well, did any of them talk to you about their Peloton, joining the Peloton Nation, or their Peloton that's sitting in whatever their designated space is? Because that is your third thing, right? You are now a Peloton guy.
I'm a member of Peloton Nation, but I don't have full dual citizenship yet, because I wish I could tell you I'm like on my 1,000th ride or something like that. I'm not, but I do enjoy it. And Ashley and I got it before the pandemic, a couple months before, and it just kind of worked out perfectly that, like, okay, now we've got this in the house. Should we ever get motivated?
You don't have his and her Pelotons. You have one Peloton that is both his and hers.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And Ashley uses it much more than I do. I need to be much better about it. But it is the craze that you hear about. Like, I understand how it becomes so addicting.
What is your Peloton username so that people can ride with you or ride against you?
I think you just find me right at Chris Onorato. I think it's that simple.
All right. That is simple.
Yeah.
I like it. Well, thank you so much, Chris. But before you go, we're going to play a little game where I'll give you 3 clues of who may be featured on Mondays, or not who will be featured on Mondays. 20 things you don't know about me.
Okay.
Right? Here's the 3 clues. She has an uncle. Oh, yours is Uncle Al. She has an Uncle Bill. And her Uncle Bill was a stage manager for Carlos Santana. When I was 12, I was invited to play the maracas on stage at SPAC. Really
Come
cool, right?
on.
I started my candle business about 7 years ago with $8 in my bank account. It's now my full-time job and my passion. She's also just about to launch on Amazon too.
Ooh.
And the last one is, this is a visual one to try to help you. I'm tall. I used to hate being 5'11", but it's growing on me, and the weather up here is better.
Well, the weather up here is better.
Well, because she's 5'11".
Oh, weather up there. I see.
Yeah. I had to choose that because I'm 6 feet tall, so I embrace all tall. And I'm like, bring it.
Man.
So, and she has
homemade candle business?
Yes, but it's like a big one, not just,
yeah.
I make a couple in my kitchen and maybe sell them on Etsy or Facebook Marketplace. She's a real deal, well-known candle business locally and nationally. She's been on E! News.
Boy, they just make me feel worse and worse about this. I have no idea, but now I can't wait to search her on Amazon.
I was going to say, so on Monday, if anybody wants to take a guess, they can tweet me at Just Kristi, tweet at Times Union. They can also comment on this video on the Times Union's Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter. And they can tune in to timesunion.com or log on to timesunion.com at 7 a.m. on Monday. And that is when her 20 Things You Don't Know About Me will go live.
Awesome.
Right.
So I don't have to go to Yankee Candle anymore. Now I've got the hookup.
You do. And it's organic and it's all natural and she's on it.
Love it.
All right.
Cool. I can't wait for that.